welcome to episode 31 of Scar Bears. I'm Chris DT Gordon. It's wonderful to have you here with me today. I've been trying to think if there's some kind of special significance to the number 31, and I'm coming up blank. If you could think of a reason why the number 31 is important, either in pulp culture or in regular significance besides being a prime number, why don't you drop that in the chat and educate me? Nate Barron and Britton Barron, as always, making me look and sound a lot better than I actually am. Thank you guys for the post-production and the theme music. If you want to reach out to either or both of them, you can find them at Nate Barron. Well, today I talk with my friend Deborah Davis again for part dos of our conversation, where she talks more about her car accident, her book, and how her situation has helped her connect with people in unexpected ways. Well, today's sponsor is holiday shopping in stores. Holiday shopping in stores. What a great way to show someone you care about them by having a deal with completely strangers and bad attitudes just to grab a 3-pack of underwear. All right, well, here's my part 2 conversation with Deborah. Hey, welcome back to Scar Bearers. This is Chris DT Gordon, being very thankful that you're here with me today. And this is new, folks. I have a part 2. We're bringing back Deborah Ann Davis. Hey, Deborah, how are you doing today?
I'm so good, it's scary.
Well, it's just after Halloween when we're recording this, so I'm a little braver now. So last time when you visited us, we talked about your car accident and how you parlayed that experience into becoming a teacher and then an author. But we really didn't talk about the after effects of the accident itself. So maybe we could start talking about that and see how you use those to your advantage in several situations.
Well, once you go through a traumatic experience, it stays with you for the rest of your life. It depends on how you want it to be part of your life that determines the flavor of your life going forward. It's not like you can undo something. It's there, it's done. And the question is, are you going to be victimized by it, or are you going to become the champion of it? Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that I started out that way. I was just a kid. I was 19 when I had the car accident, and I didn't understand that there were long-term effects from it. And even when I look back and I see the effects that followed me after the accident, I still didn't understand that I was having an emotional reaction to the car accident. For example, and just as a refresher, in the car accident, I broke both of my legs, my nose and my thumb, and I lived in a hospital for, several months. And then I tried to resurrect taking some classes because I was staying in the university infirmary.
Yes, I remember that.
But the thing was, this was in the 70s, and handicapped access wasn't a thing back then. I mean, it was starting to be a thing, but it certainly wasn't law. So I couldn't go places with the wheelchair by myself because I couldn't get over the curbs. There was curbs on the edges of sidewalks. They didn't have those ramps that they have now that everyone takes for granted right now, which is great that they're there. They didn't have handicap ramps for you to get into places that had stairs. So when I wanted to attend classes, I had to look at my schedule and what buildings they were in, and could only go to classes that had elevators. So the ambulance, not an ambulance, it was like a van would take me to the building and drop me off, and I would wheel myself in, and then I would go sit in with the class. But I couldn't do my science labs because the science tables were too high. And so, I mean, there was all these things that made it very difficult. Mm-hmm. Plus I had about a month worth of classes, lessons, whatever, that I had missed due to the, being in the hospital and the accident itself. So I was working really hard. I only had 3 classes and was having a hard time keeping up with it. And then the week before final exams, which I was feeling panicked, I wasn't going to be able to do well on them. The doctor x-rayed my leg again to see how my progress was, and my leg had shifted. So
Okay.
he said, you've had so much healing at this point, we're going to have to put you under and have an operation to fix it. So I was like, that's it, I'm not doing exams. And I went to the registrar, and they refunded my entire semester, which that's not the way it works. Usually what happens is you get a prorated refund as time goes by. They refunded my entire semester, which
Oh,
was
yeah.
very, very generous of them.
Yeah, that is virtually unheard of.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. They were just, I think that they were just feeling the fact that I'd been trying so hard to do it.
Hmm.
So anyway, I've always been grateful for that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So after you were refunded all that money, did you come back the next semester?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I took classes during the summer.
Okay.
So I had to start healing again.
Hmm.
And I finally got my casts off in August, which the accident happened in the April 2nd. And I get the casts off right before school started in the fall semester. So the semester before the accident, not the one during the accident, I had taken a swimming class, a long distance swimming class, just because it was there. So I thought, well, that would be a good way to get myself strong again. So in the fall, I started the semester. I went to the pool. No cast or anything. I got in the water, and I've been in the water since I was a toddler. And I couldn't take my feet off the bottom of the pool. I couldn't go into the deep end. I tried, I went as far as I could. I was on my toes and had my nose right above the water, and I couldn't do it. I had this weird concept in my head that if my legs came up off of the pool floor and I didn't know where the floor was, when I put them down, I would bang them and they would break again. I felt fragile as a tiny teacup being dropped on a cement floor. And I couldn't shake that. I could not go in the deep end. So when the class was over, and see, now I understand that's PTSD. I understand that now, but that wasn't something that had ever crossed my path back then. So after class was over, I went and told the instructor what my trouble was. And he said, look, I'll go in the pool with you. I'll help you out. So we got in the pool, and I went towards the deep end. I got deeper and deeper and deeper, and I got on my toes, and I was like this, and he pushed me. And I was swimming. And then that was it.
Sometimes you just need someone to give you a good old push, right?
Yep.
Wow.
I know. But the thing is, I also took a diving class that previous semester, and I could never bring myself to get on a diving board. The idea of going like this and this thing banging, I just could never do it. So I've never been on a diving board. Well, I've been on a diving board, but all I did is walk to the end and slide off. But I've never jumped on a diving board since then.
Oh, wow. Even now.
Nope. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so what other effects have you felt from the accident? Maybe not swimming related.
Well, the big one, which I didn't recognize at first, was I was a passenger in the car, and we were hit on my side. And again, I just want to say that I don't remember the accident. Thank you. And so I had this reaction to something I don't remember. So first of all, it translated into whenever I got in a car with somebody, I was on the passenger side, I put on my seatbelt. This was before there was a seatbelt law. We had seatbelts in the car, but there was no law that you had to use them. Mm-hmm. And every time I put that seatbelt on, every single time, the driver would say, "What, you don't trust my driving?" Every single time. I'd say, no, it's not you. I just feel like more comfortable wearing the seatbelt. I was so grateful when they passed the seatbelt law, because no one ever said that to me again, because I was like, hey, it's the law.
Yep. I'm just being law abiding. That's all.
That's right. But the interesting thing was when I was in the passenger seat, not when I'm a driver, not when I'm in the back seat, but when I was in the passenger seat, all of a sudden I'd feel this anxiety and my feet would slam up on the dashboard. And I suspect that has something to do with what happened in the accident. I don't know, but I did that for years and years and years. So I got married in my 30s. I was still doing that when my husband was driving me around. I did that through my 40s, and I was always trying to like casual. I'd say I'm a short person, so sometimes I ride with my feet on the dashboard anyway. But I was always trying to casually put them up there so it didn't look like I was alarmed. But I was constantly alarmed in the car, and I didn't know what that was, but that was PTSD.
Mhm.
And when I'm driving, I'm in control. I keep a big distance between me and the other car because I don't want to rely on my, what do you call it, reaction time.
Mhm.
So I keep a big distance between me and the car in front of me. Plus, I've seen so many bizarre, stupid things happen on the road over
Mhm.
the years, including a huge truck tire coming down off a hillside and bouncing across the road in front of me. And one of those, what? You were there.
I've seen that too. One time when I was in college, a buddy and I were working for a TV station, and we're driving down into Detroit, and I'm in the passenger seat. I kind of look over and I see this car being towed, and it dips slightly to the right, and then I see this tire rolling up the side of the hill, going up the exit ramp. So I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm sorry. Just that kind
No,
of was
no,
kind of
I've seen so many weird things. I've seen
yeah.
one time there was one of those kind of milk truck time things. The door opened and all these like real estate signs fell out the back.
Oh wow.
And it happened like one of them went boing, boing, and through the windshield of the car in front of me. And it went right in between the two people,
Ooh.
right? Did not hit them.
Yeah.
And they went off the road and more bounced towards me. I could see them. That's how I know nobody got hurt in that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like everybody was stopping and freaking out. I mean, I've seen some weird things. So I keep a big distance between me and the vehicles in front of me anyway.
Yeah.
So
Now, do you find yourself
PTSD or smartness?
yes. Yes. Now, do you find yourself when you are a passenger looking to the right?
Well,
You know,
here's the thing. I don't do it anymore.
okay.
I went to a dowsing convention. Are you familiar with dowsing?
I am not actually.
Um, in the old days, people used to douse for water. So the person would take a divining rod, which is basically a stick, not something you make. It's like you pull it off a tree.
Hmm.
It's shaped like a Y, and you hold
Yep.
two ends of it with one end sticking around, and you walk around looking for water. And when you get to the place where the water is, the pointy part goes down towards it. It just does it. I can't explain it to you. Theoretically, everybody can do it, except that you get into the spectator position where you're mentally watching yourself and saying, what does this look like? I must look like an idiot, right? So you can't do it if you're not centered.
Yes.
But anyway, I went to this dowsing convention where they were teaching you how to do stuff like that. And mostly because there were two speakers there that I had been following and I really wanted to talk to. One of them was David Feinstein, and the other one was Donna Eden.
Okay.
Donna Eden does energy work. And if any of your listeners have problems with their joints, their energy, their health, she has tons of stuff that's free on YouTube for you can use to do little things to help ease your body.
Okay.
And David's her husband, and he was doing a seminar on EFT, emotional freedom tapping. Are you familiar with that one?
I am not either. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. I mean, it wasn't in my circle of knowledge.
Yeah.
So I can't really explain to you the wherefore and what hows of EFT, but basically there are points in your body that you tap, and it gives you, it changes your, I don't know, it changes you.
It's like pressure points.
They are pressure points, they are acupressure points, but it's, you tap them and then you say a series of statements to go along with it. And a lot of it is about forgiving yourself for having these issues. So we're in this auditorium with a couple hundred people, and he says, does anybody want to volunteer to do this? So I shoot my hand up. I'm thinking, do my car accident. And he said, well, I was looking for something that would be more emotional, traumatic. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So there was a young woman who used to be a professional singer and could no longer sing. She had something kind of stage fright. And then there was another person who had, I mean, they had these debilitating things in their lives. Mine was an annoyance. So I was like, yeah, fine, go with them. But then a couple of people raised their hands in the audience and said, could you do that first, woman? Because I was in a car accident. I would like to know how to do that. And so he chose me.
Okay.
So he did the whole thing on me,
Mhm.
which meant that I couldn't watch because I was participating.
Yeah.
So we did the whole thing. It took about a half hour, and he was saying things. I forgive myself for being nervous about being in the car, and sometimes when I look in the car, I feel anxious, but that's okay. And sometimes, and it was just things like that. And I was like, okay, this is odd. This doesn't match my science mind at all.
Yeah.
But I got dropped off there, and my husband came to pick me up, and I was so excited to be in the passenger seat because I wanted to see what was going to happen. So during the whole time that David was doing the EFT, he had me focusing on the accident. And I had asked him, is this going to help me remember the accident? Because I don't want to. He goes, no, it won't do that. He said, picture the accident, picture you in the car before it happened. So I pictured the windshield. So then when I got in the car with my husband, I was picturing it as sitting forward and looking forward and waiting for some reaction. And he's talking to me and getting closer and further from different cars. And I was like, I don't feel any urge to put my feet up on the dashboard at all. And I sat back and I was feeling it, being in the experience. I just didn't have the reaction. And I'd like to add that I really haven't had it since then. It's been like 15 years.
Wow. That's excellent.
Here's the other thing.
Okay.
I glanced to the side and my feet went right up to the dashboard.
Oh.
Because I see cars coming over. We're in my husband's big old pickup truck. This is little bitty Mini Cooper or something over there. And I'm slamming my feet up on the dashboard again. And I realized I had focused everything on the windshield when I had done the exercise. I hadn't thought about anything coming in from the side at all.
Oh, okay.
So when I got home, I contacted Dave Feinstein and he told me what to do. And he said, do the whole thing again and just picture windshield and side window. And then that was it. I have not had it since then.
Wow.
And I wasn't even a believer. I'm like, I had other people who worked at the gym I attended were talking about it, how great it was and everything. I was like, yeah, okay. Emotional freedom tapping. Okay. Yeah. Tapping here on the top of your lip. Sure. Okay. Whatever. I mean, it just didn't make any sense to my science mind at all.
So as a science-minded person, have you been able to find some data-driven link between the tapping and the effect that you received?
Honestly, I haven't looked, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I don't know if what happened to me was really due to the EFT, or if it was like a placebo thing. So if I go and I look at stuff and it says, no, it doesn't work, then it might undo it. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't looked.
I see.
But, I don't care if it's real or not real. It worked for me. So that's good enough for me. And for people who are suffering from PTSD, I'll say with this about everything that I say, if it's not going to hurt you to try, then why not try? Why leave any stone unturned?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you said, if it's not going to hurt you and you try it and it doesn't work, well, the worst, you just wasted maybe a little bit of time, maybe a little money, but at least you know.
Well, you can find EFT lessons for free online.
I was going to ask you,
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
where
it's
should someone
definitely
go?
there. Most of the people doing EFT, I mean, not people who are practitioners, but
Mhm,
even practitioners, most of them are about let's get you healed, let's get you some help, let's fix this. And
mhm.
so there's a lot of free stuff out there, a lot of it.
Wow, that's great. And is it something that you still do as a practice, or is it okay? It did the work. I'm done.
It did the work and I'm done.
Okay.
However, it opened me up to other practices. I thought to myself, I didn't have to believe in order for this to work. So I'm going to try a couple of other things. And I've come up with a series of quick fixes that I've borrowed from a lot of people. I've gotten some from Donna Eden. And at that same conference, I asked her, would you mind if I use some of the ideas that you share? And, I'll give you credit. I didn't know how she felt about it. She's like, oh, I would love for you to share this stuff. It's for free for anybody that you can help. Help as many people as you can. That's the way she is.
Okay.
So
Wow,
her
that's
stuff
fantastic.
is all out there and free. She's one of those people that exudes goodness
Hmm.
and joy. And when you see her face, it makes you smile. So I highly recommend anything you can get your hands on from Donna Eden or David Feinstein or their whole organization.
Okay.
It's just they're incredible, and they're all about healing people, and any way that you can do that. There's a lot of energy stuff there.
Well, we'll make sure to include something in the show notes here.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, that'd be
She doesn't
great.
even know I'm talking about her, but yeah.
Yes. So, what else is there? Again, this is a part two, so we're in uncharted territory for me. So, how have the books been going?
Oh, pretty good. This is going to be launched in a couple of days. These
The
are
How to
just
Keep
my
Your Daughter
copy.
from Slamming the Door.
Right, the paper copy. The electronic version has been out for a month and it's doing pretty well. But the paper copy, the paperback is coming out. So I'm excited about that because if people are like me and want to hold the book in their hands, it'll now be available. So that's cool.
Excellent.
I
Great.
did want to talk about how the accident got translated into my lesson plans
Yes.
from as a teacher, because I started out by saying today that the things that happen to you, they flow through your life all the way through, and
Yes.
it's how you handle them, what you do with it going forward. I talked about my accident every single year when I was teaching because I taught biology,
Hmm.
right? So we did the body. When I was doing physiology, we did the body. So I would talk about my car accident. And since I taught high school, I talked about the car accident in very graphic detail
Hmm.
when the couple of weeks leading up to prom, because I was always concerned about, I mean, I'd been teaching for many years. So way back, people didn't get limos and prom buses and things like that. It was always kids driving themselves.
Yes.
And there was car accidents and fatalities and stuff on prom night. So I would describe my car accident in graphic detail, which I have not shared in graphic detail here because it's graphic.
Yes.
But I would do that with them because I wanted them to have that shock factor when they're, right before they're going to make a bad decision. Maybe they would stop and think. I don't know.
Have any kids ever come up to you and said, thank you for showing that because it really did help me make a better decision on prom night?
Never.
Okay.
Not a one. The thing is that they wouldn't make that association. They
Hmm.
wouldn't think, oh, Mrs. Davis's story. They would think, oh, I just don't feel right.
Hmm.
So I
Okay.
wouldn't, yeah, that wouldn't be something I would expect.
Okay.
Um, but the thing is that it the car accident helped me understand people who are different from me.
Mhm.
The car accident made me understand the difficulties that people who are in wheelchairs are what they face every single day. You know, we had lived in a small house with shag carpeting back then, and moving around on crutches in a wheelchair, that was hard,
Oh yeah,
really
resistance
hard.
training. Yeah.
Just felt like it was tangling up as I was moving.
Hmm.
It was just an eye opener about how other people live. It was like when I got Lyme disease and my heart rate went down to 37 beats a minute and I couldn't go up the stairs to the bedroom and I had to sit on the stairs in the middle to catch my breath.
Hmm.
That was very humbling. It let me understand what people with chronic pain lived with and what people with exhaustion and chronic fatigue lived with, and people with chronic illnesses. It gave me an insight to them. For a person who's like a healthy, active person, I didn't know what that was about. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand feeling hopeless and and the importance of making yourself get up every single day and going taking a step forward every single day. I didn't understand that when I was 19, and with the car accident, for those 3 days where I thought I wasn't going to be able to walk because I was 19 and I didn't know about the body yet,
Yeah.
I planned my suicide. And I did not want to be a person who lived in a wheelchair, even though plenty of people have lived great lives in a wheelchair. I knew that, but that's not what I wanted for myself. Of course, I didn't tell anybody,
Hmm.
but I figured it would be in a couple of months because I couldn't do it now. I was in the hospital. And so I just had it all planned out. And then, of course, I was able to walk. And so that all went away. And months later, I shared that with my family that I had gone through that. And my mother, who is a clinical social worker, she said to me, "You were probably feeling depressed back then." And I said, "Well, I'm not feeling depressed now. And I still have that same attitude. I don't want to live like that." And that wasn't a depression thing. It was a life choice thing.
Hmm.
When I got married, I thought maybe it would change, but I still felt the same way. Even though I wanted to spend the rest of my life with him, I still did not want to do it in a wheelchair. And that wasn't a way I would live my life if something had happened. However, when my daughter was born, that all went out the window.
Yeah.
I was going to be around in the wheelchair, whatever it took. I was going to be around to watch her and her babies grow. And it completely changed it then. And that wasn't depression over those years. That was a logic decision.
Hmm.
And that got overridden by the emotional reaction I had to having my daughter.
Because you're now living for someone else, not just for
Yeah.
yourself.
And I was surprised about my husband because I would have thought that I would have been living for him.
Hmm.
But it was a different thing. With that, it was like, would I want to burden him with being saddled with a wheelchair bound wife?
Hmm.
Of course, you have to know him. He's a caregiver. He would want me any form or fashion. But
Man.
these are just musings in my own head that I'm sharing.
Yes. And, I can't say that from my experience that I felt that exact same train of thought, but there are, like you said, experiences that you never think that you would ever go through. Then once you do gain some empathy for
Mhm.
others, and you start thinking things that you never thought you would before. And
Yes.
so, no, those, some of your uh, thoughts there really resonated with me. So thank you for sharing that.
And I have another thing to share, which is I understood warped body images because of the car accident.
Hmm.
I understand that when a person has anorexia or bulimia, they cannot see what is real. They absolutely, positively cannot see it. And the rest of the world that's not suffering from that kind of debilitating disease, they don't understand why they can't see it. And you don't have to understand. All you need to do is know they can't see it. And the reason why I know this is because I had gained a few pounds when I was in college on the meal plan. And I lost all this weight within 2 or 3 weeks, like 50 pounds worth of, I don't know why, because I guess because I was on intravenous for a while, or because my body was healing, I'd lost blood. I don't know why I lost that much weight, but like I had, say this is my leg and I had my cast on it like that. I could reach my hand in and scratch this part of my leg. That's how much weight I lost in my leg, that cast, which is one of the reasons why my bones kept shifting, because the cast was wiggling on my leg all the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I know I lost about 50 pounds because a group of my friends helped weigh me, which was me sitting on a scale and them holding my casts in the air and then moving. One person would move the thing and they let go and then they grab it again. And then and I didn't even register 100 pounds. Okay. And I had 15 pounds of cast on me. And I'm saying all that because when I finally got to the point where I could do crutches, which was a big deal, they turned one of my casts into a walking cast. So my leg was still broken, but it was like dangling in there. So the weight went from my knee, where it was squished around my knee, down to the ground, and my lower leg was like dangling in there. So I could stand on it without bearing weight on my lower leg.
Okay.
My weight was on my knee and then down to the floor. So once I had a walking cast, where did I go first? I'm a girl. The mall. Okay, so, and I remember this so clearly, and it is so bizarre, and I couldn't change what I saw, but I was too small for their smallest sizes. I tried on an A-line skirt, just a triangle type skirt, and it hung off my non-existent skinny hips. And I looked in the mirror and I thought it made my butt look too big.
Really?
Yeah. And I said that to my girlfriend who was in there helping me dress, and she's going, "You're not even a size 2. And I looked in the mirror, and in my head, I knew it wasn't a real representation, but I couldn't see. All I could see was that the skirt's hem went up in the back. I couldn't see that I was so thin that when people would come visit me in the hospital, they would burst into tears.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I looked like one of those poster children for UNICEF. You could see all my bones. And I looked in that mirror and I thought I looked fat. Intellectually, I understood that wasn't true. And since this wasn't something I had done to myself, I think it was easier for me to pull myself out of it.
Okay.
Or not to live there, I should say.
Yeah.
But I stopped looking into a mirror until I got the cast off. So when I would get new clothes or something, because I needed clothes, I couldn't wear what I owned, my friends would bring them into the hospital and I would try them on there, and they would tell me yes or no mirrors. Because I couldn't trust what I saw, and I didn't want that to become reality for me. I knew it wasn't real, but I couldn't erase it.
Okay. So
that's how I proceeded. So in the couple of times over the years when I've had anorexic students or bulimic students, I understood. I completely understood. And while other people are saying, "Don't you know how beautiful you are? And you look great." And they're like, because they didn't agree with it, I would say to them, "Look, you've got all these people telling you that this is what the reality is. And what I need you to do is just trust them for a little while. Just believe them for a little while. it's okay that you don't see it. Just believe them for a little while. I had a friend who lost weight, which she needed to lose weight. But when she went from a large size to a much smaller size, she couldn't see that she had arrived already. And I told her, it's time for you to start wearing a belt, something that cinched your waist in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had those insights if I hadn't gone through that with this car accident. So I know your program is about scars. Well, these are my scars, and they're good.
No, and I am very humbled and appreciative that you're sharing this, because I would not have ever thought, that would have had that effect on you,
Me neither.
and it's amazing how the mind works, both for good and for bad. Have you ever used those insights in any of your books?
I don't go into that in depth because I just don't understand the effect of reading it versus sitting with two people and saying, you have trusted this person all your life. I'm just saying, trust them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there is a mention about it, and as I described the accident, and that it's given me some insight towards this stuff. But I don't spend the time that I've spent here on this, because my belief is, and it may just be the way I learn, my belief is that you have to hear it in person. You have to hand your trust over to somebody else with guidance, and open yourself up to that, and be vulnerable to that, and just trust somebody, let them take you along the road.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I don't write it in the book in any kind of depth, because I try to stay with the things that I think that you can read and take and use, and it'll affect you right away. So that's my focus. If I could figure out a way to talk about these other things, I would. But also, it's not one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody comes to anorexia and bulimia for their own individual story. The difference between them and me is that the stereotypic them and me is that mine came from a rapid weight loss while I wasn't doing anything. I was recovering.
Mm-hmm.
Theirs comes from something that they're trying to change in their life because somebody or something has influenced them.
More of a conscious choice on their part than what had happened to them.
Yes, but also something was guiding them along that direction. Something had convinced them to go in that direction. So that has to be undone. I didn't have that component.
That's a good point.
Nothing had convinced me to have a car accident.
Yeah. Hey, can you just draw a big target on your passenger side? And, yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, again, Deborah, I greatly appreciate you sharing so much of yourself with me and the audience. This has been another fantastic and insightful episode. So
Yay.
Thank you. Yes. And so, before I bid you adieu, is there anything else that you would like to share in terms of, any other information about your books or anything else that you have planned coming up?
I don't know when this is airing, but in November, I have this book is launching for the paperback version. I also have a new anthology that just came out called Manifested Blessings. And let's see, there was one more thing. Oh, and I'm opening up my coaching business to take more clients in between now and the end of the year. And then I'll be closing it again based on what we get settled with. But I do parent coaching, of course, but I also do coaching for lifestyle changes. So people who are working on anything that you think that you're going to mess around with for New Year's resolutions, that's what I do, is I help you with that. I give you accountability, and I give you guidance, and It's based on your priority.
Okay, so yeah, this will definitely air before the beginning of 2021, so that will be very timely.
Perfect.
All right. Well, once again, Deborah, thank you so much for joining me. I am even more richer than I was before. So
Thank you.
thank you very much, and please have a great day.
You too.
Hey, thanks for joining me for part 2 of my conversation with Deborah. If you want to reach out to her, you can find her at deborahanndavis.com, or you can find her on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest. You can type in Deborah Ann Davis on any of those sites, or you can find her in the show notes below. She has all her links there. I ask you to humbly like, subscribe, review, rate, and just do all the positive things for me on this podcast and or this YouTube video. Help me get the word out to people about these fantastic and wonderful and inspiring and other positive adjective people that I'm talking with, so we can help others go for greatness. If you want to find out what I'm doing in the world of speaking and other things, you can go to Linktree. That's linktr.ee/Chris D.T. Gordon to find out what I have going on. As always, I thank you for stopping by today. And remember to pass on perfection and go for greatness.